The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 29th day of November, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's. I'm Jamel Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry, how was your short, long weekend?
It was great. I got some rest. I could have did with one more day, boss. One more day.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would agree with you. Good morning to you, Crystal and Al. It was definitely a long, short weekend as we were just getting in the, into it. It was over just like that. And folks, we missed you. Don't get us wrong. We missed you, but boy, was it a struggle this morning. That's what they say. You get used to something and it becomes habit, but we had to get back here for you. So good morning, everyone. And thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we begin the week with yet another new variant of the COVID crisis, we'll say.
Yeah.
We'll also discuss that concerning article in the Royal Gazette last week regarding Bermuda's economy. Very interesting. If you haven't seen it, folks, we'll discuss it, but these are the things that you need to be paying attention to. The Daily Play is a who said it, so Sherry will be guessing a famous quote. I know she's got this, folks. She got last week. But look, it was quite a few days off. For those of you who had the opportunity, we did have a pre-recorded exclusive on Thursday with Alyssa Haywood, the mother of a Whitney Institute student. A lot of response from that, so thank you all for tuning into that. And sticking with us over this long weekend, we had some things up on social media, letting us know your favorite Christmas album you've got out already. And folks, I don't want to hear that nonsense about it's not December yet, because back when I was saying start a month ago, you were talking about, oh, it's not even Thanksgiving and this and that. No, I don't want to hear any excuses. Everybody better have those Christmas tunes, what they call them.
What's
Christmas
your favorite?
carols pumping. What, album or song?
Song.
I would probably say I love the Temptations rendition of Silent Night.
Really?
The Temptations rendition of Silent Night. But I would say the only song that tops that would be A Few Good Men, and that would be Merry Christmas, My Dear. That's a hit. That's a hit. What's your favorite?
Oh wow. Mine's a little newer in that sense. I like Let It Snow, Boyz II Men and Brian McKnight. And Brian McKnight. So yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, actually, I remember when Brian McKnight released that Christmas album and brought that Let It Snow rendition with Boyz II Men. It's probably one of the best you'll hear, folks. If you haven't heard it, make sure you get that checked out. But a lot to discuss, and of course, you don't want to hear about my weekend. I'm not bore you with it. Let's just say we are comfortably back here to have conversations with you. And unfortunately, Sherry, there's another variant of this COVID disease, coronavirus, COVID disease that looks like it will be, I guess, impacting the way we live and travel. Now, one of the questions that came out over the weekend, which was very interesting, some would say unfair, but interesting, were people questioning, whether the Bermuda government should be relaxing regulations. Like, it always seems like they relax regulations when there's a new variant or things are spiraling out of control elsewhere, because things seem to be calmed in Bermuda. But
Right.
let's just go through a few things. So, according to the Royal Gazette, major relaxation of COVID-19 restrictions were announced last week, and set to be loosened, according to the Premier David Burt. And according to the Gazette, the announcement by David Burt came as the UK banned flights from South Africa and 5 neighboring countries as a new variant of the disease, dubbed the worst ever, was identified, and several EU nations imposed tough new rules. Now, most of the articles I've read, and I'm not a journalist, but I try to be responsible in how we have these conversations. Now, many articles I've read throughout the internet and news places like CNN, there's not enough information to really have an opinion on what this new variant means, right?
Right.
But then there's people in panic saying that this is worse and it's gonna, overtake the vaccine's not going to be able to withstand it, and so on. So there's so many things going on as it relates to what this actually means. Now, according to CNN, what I don't like, let me just say this, is people referring to it as the South African variant, which at the end of the day, it's not necessarily the South African variant. It's a variant that was first detected in South Africa. We don't know if someone came from somewhere else. So I think that's a bit unfair. Now, here's some quick reports on it. The Moderna chief medical officer says, and help me if I'm wrong, Americron.
I was going to, me, Jamal, because I was going to ask you to pronounce it.
Yeah, Omicron, and I'll rely on Leanna to get it right if she knows. That's not the space, folks. I stay in Milan. Specific vaccine booster is being developed if needed. So apparently, there's going to be another vaccine for this. And then the UK government has tightened restrictions on travel and mask over Omicron variant concerns. And then last night, the first 2 reported cases in Canada were two new cases discovered in Ontario, according to the Canadian Health Minister up in Canada. Japan has tightened border controls on 3 more African countries, and so it looks like there's a lot. All the talks about this variant. So the question of the day, folks, for the audience, here's your question. What are your thoughts on the Bermuda government relaxing regulations with this new variant out there? Like, how do you feel about the government of Bermuda relaxing the regulations regarding COVID with this new variant out there? Obviously, people feel like our government has forever been reactive rather than proactive. So what are your thoughts on it?
I think the part that I have an issue with in the article is drawing focus to tourism, and the premier drew that that we need to get back into the game in regards to the tourism and all of that kind of stuff. I don't understand why we're relaxing everything if we have this variant that's coming out that's supposed to be worse than what we've received before. I don't know what happened to the Delta one. Did that one just go away? And all of that. And then for us, Canada has 2 cases. So for us, we just need 1, even half of 1 or something, for it to be a problem in Bermuda. And why wait for that to happen? Where we don't have many restrictions coming into the island. We're going from 30 people to now 50 people. We already, I don't think, know how to do restrictions well. And with that, now we have this other variant. And then once that happens, or, hopefully it doesn't, but it can spread like wildfire. We have one, like, what are we doing? Who is part of this team that is a part of these decisions being made that make this seem to be okay? And I understand, I'm sure the minister Wilson will indicate that they're looking at the numbers and all of those kind of things. And I get that as well. But then what happens when the numbers change quickly? Then we're reacting just as fast. And then it's the stay at home order, don't do this. Then, and then the booster, like, I was all down for the vaccine. Have no problem with it. Have no problem if whoever decides not to. But now we're gonna get another, like, it's a different booster from the first booster. Like, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah.
And it only feeds into the conspiracy theories that people, already are having,
Yeah.
you know?
Crystalline L, she says, everyone entering the island should be vaccinated. Interesting. At the end of the day, Crystal, I don't think the government of Bermuda, and I say this with the utmost respect. I know you all may think I don't respect the government, the amount of problems I have with them, and you're probably right. But I don't think the government of Bermuda is courageous enough to make a decision like that. I believe that countries who have value, and hear me out, countries that value themselves and understand their value to maybe tourists or business probably would make such decisions. But I don't think the government of Bermuda has the confidence that Bermuda would be able to survive if they were to make such a rule. That's what I mean by that.
Because when you look at the back end, and America has established that rule, they can, in the sense of proximity, space, and
Correct.
okay, they don't have to fly. I could drive down to Florida. I could drive up to New York. I could drive all of those places. You don't have that opportunity for Bermuda. What are you going to do? Like,
Yeah.
there's no other way of, like, I think logistically that wouldn't be in the best interest of Bermuda, in my opinion.
Yeah. Aaron Smith says it's not a different booster, it's the same Pfizer vaccine. Not sure what you're referring to, Aaron Smith, so you can clarify.
I think I'm not sure if that's, I think it's a girl. I think what she's saying is that I was saying that the American, or you have mentioned that you're going to have to do another booster for, I'm calling it the American, the Omnicon or whatever. And that I'm just saying is another booster. And I think she's indicating that it's the same booster that you would get from Pfizer.
No, so she's referring to what I said. The Moderna chief medical officer says American specific vaccine booster is being developed if needed. So if she's referring to what I spoke of, that's coming from Moderna's chief medical officer, if that's what you're speaking to. Yeah. So Nachika Trot says the government made this announcement before the new variant. I believe we have to learn to live with COVID. It will be around a while. Responsibility. Well, I believe personal responsibility is key. I don't disagree with you, Nachika. I definitely don't disagree with you. I believe that it's time. We need to learn to live with it. But at the same time, each variant may cause different concerns. So living with it and adapting and evolving with each variant is also critical. We can't live with one variant in the exact same manner as we did the other. So we have to change and adapt our behaviors to the threat of the day. Michelle White says it seems like Bermuda is always behind. This happened last time. Sorry, Michelle, your comment is a bit too long. This happened the last time that we relaxed. We made the decision to relax. Then within a short time, the Delta variant surfaced. Maybe if this continues to be our issue, what's wrong with backtracking that decision to relax now that we know that there is yet another variant? Let's get ahead of it by keeping our regime and simply keep encouraging people to get the shot. Well, Michelle, here's why I feel bad for the government. And many people would say, oh, you shouldn't feel bad for them. But we have to remember the human element. Where I feel for the government is if they were at this time to say, you know what, let's relook at this. And because there's this threat out there, anyone who's been in this region in the last such and such time, we're not accepting in Bermuda. Now, the challenge with that, now, to me, that's actually a bit different. That's actually a bit different than locking down the island. And I think that's going back to Crystal L's first comment. I think that's what we can consider as far as everyone entering the island should be vaccinated. I think what we can do is say, you know what? Why don't we say anyone who's been to these specific countries, right, is not allowed for a certain amount of time, To me, that probably is a bit better you know?
And that's been said before through other countries. Like, if you, prior to COVID even being an issue,
Mhm,
that has been said before that if you have traveled in these certain countries, that you can't enter into the US, you can't enter into Canada, and so forth. So that wouldn't be unusual
mhm,
for that to be put forth. But, if the UK is banning flights and all of those kind of things, it's very interesting of how we're going to move forward
mhm.
with this new variant.
Yeah, but I guess it's interesting how quickly many countries are making decisions from North America straight through to Asian countries, right? What I guess is the government of Bermuda taking too long to react? Are they taking too long to react to this potential threat of a new variant? Now, we will have Eugene Dean on later this week. He is from Beyond the Pandemic, and as you know, he along with many local doctors in Bermuda have been challenging the way that the government has handled the pandemic and vaccines and so on. So that should be an interesting conversation on the back of what's going on with this new variant. But,
Right.
at the end of the day, let's say the government had prepared this statement before this new variant was known, right? Now,
Hmm.
how long before they give another statement reacting to this, though? That's where we're at now.
Right.
We're here. Other countries are making it. Does the David Byrd administration say something today? Do they wait till tomorrow? This is where
Right.
I think people are looking for that political leadership to show up, because once it gets there and then you start punishing the people of Bermuda, that's where they then react to you in a manner and start saying, no, 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 no. You could have stopped this by da 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 da. You get what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Crystal
I
L says, I read that Gibraltar is 100% vaccinated residents and shut down to visitors due to COVID cases. Go ahead, Sherry.
and I was going to say, why don't we just leave it at status quo before we decide that we're going to increase then try to pull back? It's like it's parents and children, right? It's like we give them a whole lot, and then you're like, oh no, 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 I made a mistake, so you try to pull it back, but we're already out there.
Mhm,
So if we were to, in my opinion, just have left how things were at this time period,
mhm,
then at least if we pull back, it's not going to be as shocking to somebody in regards to that. But now you've, like I said, you've increased. So people are making plans based on that they could do now 50 people, no safe key, and all of these kind of things. People are
mhm,
planning weddings and different things of that nature.
mhm,
But then we just need one or somebody who's traveled there or something, and then we're going to pull
mhm,
it all back. And
mhm,
so I don't think it's fair to do this kind of yo-yo back and forth where people, and then people don't know what's going on. And then what kind of
mhm,
country do you have? People on each side of the fence trying to figure out what's going on. And then you have this whole dismay. So I feel like they should have just left it.
mhm.
Whether they made the statement first.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And Michelle White says, yes, they are taking too long to react. Sean Smith says, every year there's a different variant of the flu,
Yes.
and it will be the same COVID, I believe he means. When are we going to move to the stage on living with it like flu? I think, Sean, the difference, and I think this has been said many times, we had a Bermudian nurse who works in DC on last December. And I will continue to say this until we're all in a place where we understand it. This is not like the flu for one reason. The flu has been around forever. So there's more studies that have been done. People have a better understanding of how it operates. I think with COVID, there's not enough information, whereas we can start treating it like the flu yet. At least that's how it comes across, right? Michelle Smith says, and comments a bit long, Michelle, so can't go on the screen. It is time to relax the restrictions. I don't disagree. It is overdue. There will always be another variant, so we need to base our restrictions on those traveling, not the local population. I agree, and that's why I think I agree with everyone. I don't think the restrictions should be on how Bermudians are living or how they move. I think, going back to Crystal Linnell's original comment, we need to focus on the borders, like most countries are doing, from east to west and
Hmm.
west to east. That's what everyone seems to be doing. Michelle Smith goes on to say, why should parents continue to need a safe key to attend a child's football game when we are allowing people into the island without quarantine? Double standards. Renee Sherilyn Simmons says, we as individuals keep up with the updates. Bermuda Freedom Alliance keep up with the science and updates. Why can't the government keep up to date with the science and updates and new variants? Thank you all. And let's bring Leanna in. Definitely an interesting conversation, to say the least. And I think the consensus based on what's been said so far, I don't think putting restrictions on the local population is the answer. I completely agree with that. I personally believe that Bermuda should kind of adopt what other countries like Japan, like maybe Canada, maybe the UK, like what these countries are doing is pretty much restricting travel from certain places right now.
But that also leads people to be honest about certain things as well. You know what I mean? So although I partly agree, I think some parts need to be relaxed, but not all. Like, yes, going to the a child's football game and things of that nature. But it takes honesty, people to be honest about what they are doing, and there is we need to be responsible in doing what we need to do, washing our hands, mask, all of those kind of things, for us to also continue to feel safe.
Indeed. Leanna, good morning, sister. How are you?
Morning, guys. I am good. Like you guys, it was a struggle. I was feeling those days off and enjoying them. And I'm like, oh, it's Monday. Back at it.
Yeah. It was a very short, long weekend, my sister.
Short,
I was
long,
almost on here with my bonnet. I was like, oh no, I didn't take my bonnet off.
Yeah. But we made it. We made it. And we made it with another new variant of COVID, which I
How
think
do you say it?
touching on. How do you pronounce it, Lee?
Say it for me again. Let me see if I
said
did correctly.
Omicron.
I think
Say it one more time.
Omicron.
Let's go with that.
Omicron. I think it's
Omicron. Yeah. Omicron.
I think we're all wrong at this point.
Omicron, folks. It's a new variant, and we're gonna go with Omicron.
Omicron.
There's no N in there.
It's not OMNI.
There is no N in there.
It's OMICRON.
Okay, sorry. I was trying.
We're gonna figure it out.
Omicron. All right, Lee. Wow, we just had a moment. We're gonna hand it over to Leanna, folks.
No.
Thanks, Jamel and Sherry, and good morning to all of those who are tuned in with us today. I hope you all are having a great start to your day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. In today's top stories, well, as we've been discussing, today the island takes a step forward in moving beyond the pandemic as relaxed restrictions came into effect as of 6 this morning. Now, for those who need reminding, here are some of the changes announced by Minister of Health Kim Wilson last week. The size of large groups has increased from 30 to 50. Raft-ups are now being permitted, and the government is changing the pre-arrival test requirements to accept antigen tests. Now, adjustments are also being made to enable residents who travel abroad for less than 72 hours to use their pre-departure test obtained in Bermuda as their pre-arrival test upon return. In other news, how do we tackle gang violence? According to the island's national security minister, it won't be by policing our way out of the problem. Renee Ming instead said she'll be leaning on support from employers and charities to join with government departments to help tackle the root causes. Now, speaking in the House of Assembly last Friday, Minister Ming said opportunities must be provided to the next generation to show a better alternative than joining a gang. Now, she said that many of the island's young people had fallen victim to economic inequality, and being a part of a gang offered social support systems and opportunity for financial gains. The government's gang violence reduction team provided programs, she said, aimed to address a gap in the lives of some young people including mentorships and assisting in finding employment, as well as addressing mental and social health issues. Now, she acknowledged there is no one-size-fits-all approach and that youth will be assessed to match the right services and programs to meet their needs. Meanwhile, the details of a controversial deal signed with a U.S.-owned courier company without putting the contract out to tender is set to be revealed by government. The Supreme Court is said to have given Bermudian shippers mailboxes unlimited leave to appeal against the contract with Access USA. Now, the ruling means that government will now have to make public details of its contract with the American firm, which it previously refused to do. And boxer Tyler Christopher claimed his second professional win at a dominant points victory over Mohammed Hussein at the Hoyt Suite Villa Park in England last night. Now, Christopher was a class above Hussein, landing shots with regulatory in the brave but limited debutant to the win to the super welterweight bout 39-37 on points. That's all for our Daily Hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. But before we go, here's your helpful daily tip from your favorite community pharmacist. With the holiday season upon us, always be mindful of pharmacy operating hours. Now, due to COVID, they have changed often. We don't want anyone out of luck on Christmas Eve in need of medicine or gifts. Follow our social media and check our website in advance. But remember, our free parking makes those last-minute purchases a breeze. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
You know, when you were speaking, and congratulations to Mike Tyler. So there's a couple of things I was listening to your news break. Let's start with the good one. So when you started saying who he defeated, Muhammad, I was just waiting on Ali Jr. or something like that. Congratulations to him anyway. Bermudian boxers are doing a thing. But I want to go back.
Yep.
Like, look, you all know, I say it every opportunity I get, that I'm not the ripest apple on the tree.
Really?
That said, they're relaxing the conditions for raft-ups. Raft-ups in Bermuda in December.
Ended.
In December? You know what? Let me hope someone in the audience knows more about me, about this raft-up situation happening in maybe December that I don't know about. Maybe it's the rich folk. Like,
I was gonna say it might just be out of your league, Jamal.
Yeah,
you know, people might have on the little leather and fur coats, and
it doesn't adhere to you, Mal. Sorry.
It's not Let me get to Lee. Thank you so much for that.
You are most welcome.
Have a great one.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye, Lee.
Not
in our age group, Jamal.
I don't know, boy. That must be those boys down Tuckerstown and Fairylands that I've never heard. Look, if anyone tuned into this show attends raft-ups in December in Bermuda, let me know, because the minister's talking to you. He's just giving you freedom. Go do your thing. So, look, we have a very important conversation, folks, coming up. You don't want to miss this. There's, the Royal Gazette. There was a story in the Royal Gazette last week titled, "Economy Suffers Deepest Contraction in Living Memory." This is probably one of the most important conversations that we will have over the closing month of 2021. You need to be a part of it. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this. Raft-ups. I don't know about that.
This month, we're bringing back an old favorite distributed by John Barrett & Son Limited, a thirst-quenching European treat, Orangina, made from orange, lemon, mandarin, and grapefruit juices. Orangina brings us the flavor of the Mediterranean in a distinctive pear-shaped bottle. Orangina originated in France in the early 1930s and is now one of the world's favorites, a natural thirst quencher containing real fruit pulp. In fact, the makers of Orangina recommend we gently shake the pulp to enjoy the full fruity flavor. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. You know what? I want to say this. Do you know this weekend we went to see the movie King Richard, and I'll just say this much for those for those who haven't seen it. It was a story. It was a story. I'd encourage many people to go and see it. It was.
Did you shed a tear, Jamal?
No, but the person I did created some bath water. I'm just saying that. Yeah.
They were cutting onions in the movie theater.
Absolutely, yeah, Big Daddy. But it was definitely an inspirational movie. And if you haven't seen it, folks, I'd encourage you, make it part of your movie watching. Check it out. You won't regret it. But look, we have a very important conversation to have this morning. So, like I said, these are the kind of conversations we need to be having. You know, if you have Thanksgiving dinner, if you have Christmas dinner, if you have family around this time of year, you need to be discussing this because it affects you. It affects you, regardless of your income level. So the title of the article in the Royal Gazette was "Economy Suffers Deepest Contraction in Living Memory," right? And basically, the 2020 report on Bermuda's gross domestic product said the economy contracted by 6.9% in real terms as the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown caused declines in 13 of the 19 business sectors analyzed. Now, this is according to the Department of Statistics document, which included most tourism-related businesses. This is crazy. Now, there's a chart. There's a chart on this. Now, the chart basically explains what the contraction looks like. And it's scary. It's scary. It's very scary. And Bermuda has literally contracted almost every year since 2007, right? Well, since 2008, after 2007. The only year, folks, let me see if anyone can guess this. Anyone who hasn't read this article, the only year that Bermuda has been actually really above it. I'm not going to include 2015, where we were 0.8% and 0.3% in 2019, where we were up a bit, right? But the only year we've actually done well in the last 10 years, we were at 3.6. Can anyone guess what year that was? Anyone get? Kathy Bromley didn't even let me finish. 2017.
And what happened in 2017, Jamal?
2017. And Nachika Trott said it. America's Cup year. Deborah Titton. No, folks, I've been a critic of the America's Cup, and I will still criticize it to that day, to this day, right? Of how it went. I don't believe in what happens to get big events like the Olympics and the World Cup, right? Or the America's Cup. I just don't agree with the amount of money pumped into these events that countries really don't have no guarantee of making back. I guess you can say that's business. It's risk reward, right? However, that doesn't mean just because I feel that way that it wasn't good for the economy.
Right.
Look, I'm as real as you're gonna get when it comes to life. I feel how I feel, but how I feel isn't necessarily the best way and how everyone else should feel, or the best way for our country or economy. I accept that. Most people don't.
You just see it from your point of view, which is fine.
And I understand that it's my point of view, Sherry.
Right. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just from how you see it. You're just strong with it, though, Jamal. You're just really.
I get like that.
You're just really strong.
I get like that. But folks, I mean, you see this report. It's very concerning. What are your thoughts on the state of Bermuda's economy? What are your thoughts? Because if you read this report from the Royal Gazette, now let's go on to what the minister of the cabinet, for the cabinet office, Wayne Furbett said, as the public will appreciate, he stated, last year, our economy was significantly challenged due to the pandemic. He goes on to say in the Royal Gazette, like other countries around the world, Bermuda was not alone in seeing a decline in annual GDP. But he highlighted the unemployment benefit program, which gave temporary relief to eligible workers who lost their jobs as a result of public health measures imposed to curb COVID-19. He also went on to say measures taken to assist businesses have included extending deadlines for tax filings and the deferring and waiving of fees, taxes, and penalties. Right?
Right.
I think, Minister Furbett, while I understand that stimulating the economy sometimes means governments assisting in this manner, right? Given to businesses and people in times of need. I do believe that, and I'm going to not say Bermudians, but the PLP's actual base, I don't believe that we can honestly say we're confident that a plan exists to put us in a better space. If it does, please direct me to it.
Are we being reactionary again?
Oh,
Let me not feed it to you.
This would be our government.
Yeah.
This would be right up the alley of how our government has governed.
So I guess the other question is, and it's what's your thoughts on Bermuda's economy? Like, where do we go and what do we do? You know what I mean? Because if we're looking at, as he indicated, tourism and all the trickle-down effect of how that is with restaurants, with attractions, with all of those things, how are we able to come from underneath to continue to stimulate the economy? And I guess this kind of goes back to our conversation just a few minutes ago in regards to, reducing, relaxing the stipulations or whatever, in regards to boosting the economy. But, did you see the construction statement? It's like, what are construction workers doing? How are they making some money? And then it's kind of at the same token, like, what is there to build? Who has money to pay to build? Is the bank going to give you any money? They can't give you any money because really your employment isn't the best, or you're not maybe receiving the monies that you need to. And it continues to go, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you make a great point. And I think even if people jump out right now and say, well, there's capital projects. There's capital projects in, for instance, maybe the Fairmont Southampton or the Ariel Sands. But we've been told before that about projects like this that never came to be. We don't have to look back far, right? Let's go to some comments. Michelle White, Sherry.
You have to spend money to make money, and the America's Cup and impact on our community speaks well of this. Back to group tourism. Yeah.
Nachika Trott, she says, it is concerning. Have we received an update on the economic recovery plan? How is that going? Deborah Titterton-Naraway says, I think government did a strong job getting us through the first 2 years of the pandemic. The payouts were needed, but we have spent money that was not budgeted for. Now, what is the plan to get out and counteract the spend? And that right there, thank you for that, is, I guess, the question that we're asking for. Like, we need governments in times of crisis, in terms of recessions, right? We need government. Right. But then what's the plan thereafter? Because we can't tax our way out of economic crisis. We can't. It doesn't work. Sean Smith says, Jamal, didn't you read that Thurin speech? Boy, don't make me so Cole Simons on that Thurin speech. Michelle White, Sherry.
I've commented the question on my Facebook audience about national plan and no response. So I guess we don't have a plan. And we can't travel authority ourselves outside of out of a crisis either. You know what I mean? Yeah, $75 each time you land. Mercy.
I don't look. I think all of the audience would agree. We cannot tax our way out of an economic crisis. It does not work. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say it does not work. Maybe I'm ignorant. But can anyone show me where taxing our way out of an economic crisis works? Show me, because I'll tell you this much. Politics aside, there's a reason companies were going to places like Bermuda and Switzerland for years. There's a reason companies are leaving New York for Florida or have been going to Delaware for years. People will go where there's less taxes. Sometimes where there's no union. It's not just about big city and location anymore. It's so much more to it. Kathy Brumby said PLP told people not to attend AC, the only profitable year. Yeah, I wouldn't attend it either. But no, I get your point. I get your point, Kathy, and you're all right. Sam Cat plays for you, Sherry.
Bang, Jamal. Very reactionary. There are projects out there, but it's always where the money is versus where there is not the ability to make money. It boils down to have and have nots, unfortunately.
That was Sherry that said reactionary, not me this time, folks. Not me this time, but no, agree with you, Sam. Tamara Richardson says, it is so amazing that we were presented with 14 years of data, yet we continue to focus on the prior 2 years, which were under-precedented. We didn't have a plan before, and I'm very worried about where we go from here. Well, this is true, Tamara. This is very true, because at the end of the day, as the chart shows, if you go on the website, folks, on the Royal Gazette, as the chart shows, right? It's from 2006 to 2020. And let's just say governments changed from 2012 to 2017. But I want to say the 2012 would have still been under the PLP because the OBA wasn't elected until the end of 2012. And then 2017, you credit to the OBA, so 2018 would be PLP. But I think to Tamara's point, folks, we can go back to 1998. You know, if we're being honest, we can go back to 1998 and really make the true comparison. So she has a point. Obviously, we're you know, most times, Tamara, we're going to look at the most recent. But she's right. If we look at the entire chart going back to 2006, you start doing the math, and the math don't look good on paper, folks. This is why I encourage people. I encourage you. And I know you all have your issues with the Royal Gazette, but at the end of the day, it's a necessary newspaper. It's your only daily newspaper. And this article is extremely helpful for us to know what we should know about our economy.
Well, let me ask you this, Jamal. If you can't tax your way out of it, how do you?
Innovation, business. Create legislation and policies that allow people to operate. Since Tamara's in the audience, I'm going to use People's Pharmacy. I've said to Tamara when she was on the show, right? I probably said it to Zach Monis when he was on the show, that Craig Simmons said it when he was on the show about retailers and grocers being heroes, right? I said that they are pretty much doing charity work at this time, right?
Right.
Because as their taxes may rise, as the cost of business may be coming higher, I've said that they're doing a service by not letting self-checkout take out cashier jobs, right? At the end of the day, businesses don't exist to employ people, you know. Businesses exist to make money. So the answer to that is, honestly, allow businesses to do what they do so that they benefit your economy. And if your economy benefits, then the people should benefit. But you can't tax. If you continue to tax, some businesses would basically be better shut than paying more taxes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a tough one. It's a tough one. The Chica truck, Sherry.
I see government has outsourced much work to various landscaping companies. Is that going to be long-term? Is this leading to privatization?
Well, I mean, I saw what botanical gardens look like recently, so I guess there's a need to outsource. But I mean, no. If you saw the pictures of Botanical Garden, I mean, this is no. I'll just leave it at that. Cindy Appleby Spencer, support your small local landscapers. Yay. And then Tamara Richardson goes on to say, growth, business, entrepreneurs. You can't get out of anything by taxing because that simply raises the cost of living for us all. If we learn nothing else, I hope it's that business is not the enemy. And I think that's the answer to your question, Sherry, like in terms of how do we get out of it without taxing? I just don't see anything positive coming out of taxation. And again, folks, let me be clear. I am no business expert. I'm no business expert. I'm no financial guru. I'm not. I simply am looking at this in layman, like any one of you could.
And that's why I asked what was another, other than taxing for people who may have that in the forefront, what was other ways to do that, especially if we can't see it in any other way, if you're not a business person as well, you know?
Well, Craig Simmons, economist and Bermuda College lecturer, he actually answered that as well. He said one time he was on the show, he said, the way out of this economic crisis for Bermuda is young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
He said young entrepreneurs. I would remove the term young and I would just say entrepreneurs. I would say entrepreneurs. I believe entrepreneurship is the way out. I completely agree with him. I agree with Tamara, but I'm not quite sure that taxation is the way out. Now, some people may say, well, the government is offering new opportunities with the shipping thing they're doing and all this stuff. No, I don't think government should be in the business of business. I'm not quite sure that works well either. I'm just not. Look, your job is to create Tell me if I'm wrong, folks. Honestly, I'm no expert. Tell me if I'm wrong. But the job of the government is to create legislation and policies that allow people the opportunity to succeed in a manner that helps the overall growth of a country. That's what I thought.
Not taking over delivery businesses.
Not taking over industry. Not being in charge of industry. At least that's what I thought. Michelle White says, when tax goes up, everything else does also. But don't start about healthcare, especially for solopreneurs. Well, let's talk about something. So that was one of my things with the whole living wage and minimum wage thing. Is I've always said I've never been a fan of minimum wage or living wage. I think we should leave that to the countries where it doesn't work. Why do I say it doesn't work? Because you look in the US, the wealth of the rich has continued to grow, but minimum wage has literally stayed the same over the course of that time. It doesn't work. Now, they've used different language and said livable wage. The problem with livable wage, though, Sherry, it doesn't work unless there's cost controls. Tell me again, if I'm wrong, let me know, folks. Right. But unless you have cost control. So if you tell, Sherry and Jamal's Chicken Shack, y'all, we got a chicken shack, and we're selling a chicken sandwich for $5, and we pay our staff $10 an hour, right? Now, let's say the minimum wage gets moved from $7, right, to $9.50. Well, one thing we're going to say, well, look, we're going to drop it 50 cents. We only need to pay them 50 cents. That's one problem with it. But let's say the minimum wage gets moved to 15 and we were paying 10. Well, as a business, the business is going to say, I need to make that money up somewhere. So that $5 chicken sandwich is now going to go up $2, right? So my point is that wage doesn't really change anything because that person is still paying the same margin, if not more, for that chicken sandwich. Because if we've learned nothing else, the business, what they say when you go to gamble at a casino, the house always wins.
Yeah.
Terry Kishay.
We need a venture capitalist market to allow entrepreneur a bit of safety when it comes to the risk they are taking with their businesses.
Carla John says that's an aspirational government, apparently. Tamara Richardson, Sherry.
Anything government touches either operates as 4 times private sector or less efficient. Look at the incinerators, state of our roads, etc. We really need to accept that the government isn't here to save us.
I think that is it right there. That last sentence, we really need to accept that Government isn't here to save us. That's it. That sums it up.
Yeah.
I don't even know what more to add to that.
I just want to know, like, does the government not look at other countries and their governments? And I understand we can't be like some places, but if we can adopt some things, like, are we not looking at that as well? Because I don't know. Some governments in the UK, it's just like, they really do that for you? Really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
could stay at home for a year and the government pays you? What is that?
There are a lot of countries that do a lot of different things, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Every country is going to be different based on size, population, and so on. Again, all I expect from a government is to create legislation and policies to give the people the best opportunity to succeed. We have a lot of comments to go through. Let's go through these.
Okay.
Mark Arthur C. Phillips, Sherry.
I agree, Jamal. The role of the government is to set the atmosphere for companies to make money.
And people. Semcat Place says, sad when the government only sees taking over the municipals to make money, knowing they can't manage money properly. That seems to be one of their only plans. We have Weldon Wade on camera saying mic drop. And again, that last sentence, folks, I'm going to remind you, I'm going to go back to our comment. That last sentence, we really need to accept that government isn't here to save us. But bottom line, Michelle White, Sherry.
Many people have not had salary increases for more than 10 years, yet everything has continued to rise over these years. Now, technically making less today than made 10 years ago. Yeah. I remember that cost of living increase.
We need more data in a readily and timely, fashionable manner so informed decisions can be made. Terry Kay says, in a capitalist society, the government is really just meant to provide the framework and environment to allow businesses to thrive. But see, that's my issue, Terry. I don't know if the government, I feel like we don't know if we want a capitalist society or not. Like, I think that's the place where our government's stuck. Kathy Brumby says, what happens if the ships don't come in? I don't want to quote him, but I know Craig Simmons touched on this. I think he said Bermuda would be fine for, folks, I don't remember. He said we'd be fine for 4 weeks.
Zach Monin said that, or not Zach, Mr. Butterfield, I think it was Mr. Butterfield.
Yes. Meyer, yes.
He said we would be fine for about 2 weeks. It's when, you go into that third and fourth week that it becomes an issue.
Yes. Okay, cool. See, folks, we have these conversations, but my memory is not like Sherry's, even though she's the older sister. Terry K. Sherry.
The issue is wealth of the 1% does not trickle down. A venture capitalist market will allow those entrepreneurs without a lot of capital to get started.
All right, let's wrap it up with Tamara Richardson. Who is government? Why are we acting like we aren't talking about specific people that we know very well and have many years of history to be judged by? Accountability is lacking here. And let's wrap it up.
Damn.
At the end of the day, let's. And I'm going to take some accountability for this. We can't not point fingers. We can't not call names. We can't not call it what it is.
Yeah.
When we had David Burt, the Honorable Premier, on this show earlier this year, I said, it's apparent, it comes across like, there's too many MPs or ministers without any skin in the game. They're not entrepreneurs. They have no understanding or concept of how things work. So they're overseeing decisions. And he said, well, they're not there to make decisions. They have, people in the civil service and so on. Well, that's another part then.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there are very few that seem to be making out well from the economic decisions being made by the government of Bermuda. And it's up to us, the Bermudian people, to keep the pressure on, because if this article in the Royal Gazette does not concern you, I don't know what will.
Right. We
just had a conversation about speaking of how this government is reactionary. We would be fools. We would be fools to continue to exhibit the same behavior. This article is giving us an opportunity to get ahead of things. Not wait until it legit hits us on our doorstep.
Because it's knocking.
It really already is on our doorstep, but I mean personally. Folks, wake up. Get up. You have access to the people who are in charge of making decisions that impact your life. It's not about how much money they give you. It's about the decisions they're making that impact the opportunity for you to express yourselves in a manner where you can make a living for yourself. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to be right back, wrap it up for you with a daily play. Do not go anywhere. Sherry is on the way.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right, it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Folks, if you appreciated today's conversation, if you found it helpful, make sure you share these conversations. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Thanks again to People's Pharmacy, Lindo's, Medical House, and One Communications for backing us so that we can engage and have these kind of conversations. But as I stated, time for that Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, are you ready?
Well, let's see if the rest helps. Come on.
All right, it's a Who Said It, folks. Here we go. Money will determine whether the accused goes to prison or walks out of the courtroom a free man. And that was by a famous lawyer.
Johnny Cochran.
My goodness, she is on fire, folks. She is on fire, folks. Hold on. You know what? You're coming across like one of those pool hole hustlers right now. Coming across like one of those pool hole hustlers that, first couple of weeks she is like playing around with us. She got that one time. She got that one time.
Oh,
she didn't say Thurgood Marshall or nobody. She said Johnny Cochran. Look, even your friends are like, wow, Sherry.
I'm on it today, Karen. I'm on it. Just a little bit of rest. But, let's get through to tomorrow. Let's get through the week.
All right, she got it. Johnny Cochran it was. And that was a good one on the back of we haven't discussed it, but the case in Georgia, the state which Sherry lives, where the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery, were found guilty last Wednesday. So be following that closely to see how the sentencing goes. But Sherry, what are your thoughts on today's show?
Very interesting. I always seem to get something out of it, even if the audience doesn't, because some of this stuff, I'm not familiar with, and that's as transparent as it gets. But I appreciate just understanding and getting other viewpoints. Even yours, Jamal. It's valid, and to be able to have a good visual of what's going on. The economy is very serious. This variant is very serious. Let's try to not be reactionary when it comes to both. Yeah,
and the Omicron variant is something that I think we need to watch closely. Like as stated earlier, so many articles saying different things. So we just need to follow it and just, see how can we best keep ourselves safe and our family and friends. As far as the conversation about the economy, again, folks, Sherry being transparent, I continue to tell you, we're not experts at this stuff. We're having the conversation. We're engaging the audience because it's the majority of us are laymen. For us to understand what's in our best interest, we kind of have to have these conversations to gather as much information as possible. This is why we say reading is important. So we'll continue to bring these kind of conversations to the forefront. Sherry, I know you've got some daily inspiration for us.
I do. I have to say happy belated birthday to my father who celebrated on Saturday. So if you see Roger Vanderpool out there, say happy birthday, 74 and looking good.
Happy belated to you, Mr. Vanderpool.
Now, our inspiration is be thankful for everything that happens in your life. It's all an experience. And that's Roy T. Bennett.
All righty. Thank you for that. And big shout out to Mama Hartman, Nana Hartman, everyone out there. Mama Patterson tuned in.
I'm sure she is.
All right. Big shout out to Mama Patterson out there as well. And folks, you know, we have to do this, but thanks again to our partners, Medical House One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Folks, actually, before I say make it a great day, I have to shout out to my Outerbridge family, and of course, Poppy Bella, the dog, because Bella watches as well, and obviously the wifester and the momster-in-law who also tune in regularly. But folks, we make it a great day. Can't forget anybody in the family.